Hello and welcome to the 2018 Met the Booker judging round. We've had a very close public vote. Our three judges are here with me now. Graham Fulcher, Kath Barton and Eleanor Hayworth. Let's get to it. Kath, let's start with you. Do you want to tell us? Actually, sorry, no. Graham, why don't we start with you? Because I know you've got an unusual choice. So why don't you tell us about your favourite book quickly?
Okay. So my favourite on the shortlist, which was Three Dreams in the Key of G by Mark Nash. I think your comment about it being unusual is because anybody who's followed the public vote will know it didn't really score so highly in that vote. You know, I really loved this book. I thought it was a book that made some choices. I think the choice it made was to prioritise two things.
Just change the book's front so it says live in big letters
somewhere. The exploration of ideas. I mean, there's a huge number of ideas.
Change the headline to watch the judges' meeting.
It goes all the way from you can 1 minute you can be looking at the human genome, berating the scientists that are trying to code its structure. The next moment you can have a discussion of the etiquette of party bags. It also prioritizes a really beautiful celebration of language. I think what it relegates in that is the kind of reader experience. It's a book that really makes no compromises at all, but really that's what I enjoyed about it.
Fantastic, thank you. And Kath, let's go to you. Tell us about your favourite choice.
My choice is Sweet Fruit, Sour Land. And I reread this book and one of the others because I was torn. And I chose this one. I found it a slow burn to a very moving ending. And that there can still be hope for the future when so much has been stripped away. Especially with the innocence of new life, the young boy called Hugo, who's named after Victor Hugo, who wrote about love and compassion and the possibility of change. And I find it a very moving meditation on memory. And Rebecca Lay, the author, talks about that gap between the imaginary and the real, where people may still exist. And the emphasis on hunger and food that's lost and found, and hunger for food or power, actually, or the collision of the two, as when George makes Mathilde eat the chocolate cake in a quite grotesque episode. I think it's a book which rewards attention and time, and it's marvellous.
Thank you very much. And Eleanor, I believe you also like that book, but why don't you tell us about what I believe is your second choice? Will you tell me?
So yeah, my second choice is Dark Pines. It's a murder mystery thriller set in a small Swedish town. And it stars a young journalist / detective who's deaf, which I think brings a really interesting and quite sometimes claustrophobic part to the story. But I think it's a really atmospheric setting in a very kind of enclosed and very small community. And I really love the use of language and the building, and the whole plotting, I think, is really, really good.
Great, fantastic. Okay, and now the public, of course, have voted for Raising Sparks by Ariel Kahn. It's very close, though. Anyone have any particular strong feelings about this book, either way, you'd like to come on with?
I thought it was a really interesting...
Go on, you go first.
I thought it was a really interesting depiction of a culture that I know so little about. I really enjoyed what I learned through the book, which I thought was really exciting. I did like the characters a lot. I thought they were believable, and I liked the story. For me, I couldn't quite get my head around the magical aspects of the book as much.
Okay, and Kath?
Yeah, I agree. I found I was hoping for magical realism, which wasn't there in the way that I thought it might be. And I didn't find it an easy book to engage with. There's such a lot of language that was unfamiliar to me, so that I would have welcomed a glossary. And I found also that sometimes there was such almost a kind of preaching, you know, a lot of info, a lot of telling, not showing. So I was disappointed, unfortunately.
Okay.
Sam, if I can just comment, I mean, I must admit, I did enjoy this book, but it certainly wasn't my top. I thought it, you know, I can understand both of those comments. I think it's almost got a top layer, which is kind of magic realism, and you know, I've seen it referred to as uplit or even kind of almost verging on young adult. But I think beneath it, it's got a lot of depth. But you know, it's interesting what you said, Kath. I felt I spent a lot of time on Wikipedia to really understand. I mean, I actually really enjoyed spending a lot of time on Wikipedia, and I really enjoyed the layers to the book. But it's a book that can be read, I think, on two different levels, and I think that adds to the complexity of it, but also the difficulty of really engaging with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it sounds like none of you are particularly strongly behind it. Let's talk quickly about The Ruin, a detective police procedural. I'm not getting strong vibes from anyone on that one.
No, sadly not.
No, I think it was. I think all of us probably looking at our reviews. I think we all felt it had a strong start, had some interesting characters, but it seemed to rely too heavily on coincidence, and as you said, sort of devolve into this police procedural idea from what really was quite a startling opening setup. So yeah, it wasn't my favourite of the two crime novels on the list, I must admit.
Okay, and now we have to come to Sealed, which of course was second in the public vote, very close. Why don't you tell me, how do you feel about that one? Let's start with you, Kath.
It was my second choice too.
Okay.
It was the other one that I reread, and I think it's a very bold, taut, and well-written book. But at the end of the day, it didn't come up tops for me. Interestingly, when I read it the first time, it was like a great rush, and it really had a strong impact on me. Less so the second time, whereas the reverse was true with my favourite. So yeah, it's really good. It's just not my top.
Okay, Ellie?
I thought it was really gritty and quite brutal. I really liked the relevance of the climate apocalypse and how everything's heating up, and I thought that was really relevant for right now. And I enjoyed it for that. I couldn't quite get my head around the whole sealing nature of it, if that makes sense. Like, I couldn't quite get where that was coming from.
Okay.
I mean, I think I'm probably closer to Kath on this. It probably was certainly in my top three, probably my runner-up. Interesting, by the same publisher as my first choice. And I think I did actually enjoy the sealed metaphor. I think it was very interesting how it brought in the idea of the first world sealing itself off from the third world, the rich sealing itself off from the poor. There's this disease cutis, and the authorities effectively use it to really enforce some quite harsh immigration policies, as well as some quite drastic socioeconomic cleansing. And I found that added some depth to the book. But I do wonder how well it would stack up on a second reading. I must admit, I couldn't say. So.
Okay. All right. Right. This is tricky. It sounds to me like we're heading for a stalemate. Why don't you tell me your initial votes first of all? Let's go for conviction, and then let's see if we have to change our minds at all, or I have to use my casting vote, which will be not the booker first.
Yeah, a shame.
Okay, Kath, tell us your vote.
My conviction vote is for Sweet Fruit Sour Land,
Okay.
because it's subtlety and its quietude.
Okay. Ellie?
My conviction vote is also for Sweet Fruit Sour Land. I thought it was beautifully and elegantly written.
Okay. Graham?
And my conviction vote is for Three Dreams in the Key of G.
Okay. So we have 2 votes for Raising Sparks, 1 vote for Three Dreams in the Key of G, and 2 votes for Sweet Fruit and Sour Land. Which the mathematicians among you will have realised is a tie.
So Sam, do I given I'm the kind of the casting vote? I mean, I'm happy to change my vote between those.
Well,
those two.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting to. I mean, the public vote was very close. Some of you are close on Sealed. So maybe if 3 of you thought that Sealed should possibly get it, or one of you, Graham, changed your mind about Sweet Fruit Sour Land, I guess that would change things.
I'll let the others speak first, and then.
Okay.
I think personally, above the 2 highest in the public vote, I would go for Raising Sparks rather than Sealed.
Okay.
And if I was choosing, I'd go the other way. I'd go for Sealed. If I have to choose between those.
Okay.
So it does sound like a stalemate. I mean, certainly very close to the top of my list was Sweet Fruit Sour Land. I think, in fact, Sam, you and I had quite a debate about it below the line when the book was first reviewed. So I will switch my vote to that.
Right. Okay. Wow. So, okay. I'm going to give you a few minutes just to mull it over, or a few seconds, because this is you're strongly overturning the public.
Yep.
And it looks like this is the way it's going to go. 3 votes for Sweet Fruit Sour Land. You're definite and happy about that decision?
Definite and happy.
Yeah.
I'll support my fellow judges.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Wow. All right. Well, I'm going to give you a quick second. So controversial, but if no one speaks up, I think we have a decision. And luckily, I haven't had to use my casting vote, and which will remain forever secret.
Oh, shame. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We have a winner, which is Sweet Fruit and Sour Land. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.